Hi, Areej, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I thank you for sending me your proposed postdoctoral research work, and I just wanted to kind of go over it a little bit just to give some feedback. And if it seems to align with what you are doing, I'm happy to discuss this with you um, and move forward as in whatever supervisory role you would like me to be in. One thing I wanted to notice is you've used AI tools, and you probably should use generative AI tools just to be more accurate, because AI tools is quite broad, and really I'm pretty sure these teachers will use generative AI tools because they'll be accessible. And you have this framework, which is looks quite comprehensive, and it looks like from your CV that you have a number of publications in the works. So that's good because obviously SHRC will be looking at that. And then it's very clear in your writing you want to move towards uh, the model to actually the application of the model. Now, the one element that I think is pretty critical, which sometimes gets obscured, is that, that these teachers can look at the data, they can become good at interpreting the data, but if they actually don't put the data to use in instructional planning, then it won't be, that could be the sort of breaking point where something works or doesn't work. And I see you're doing online school settings, so that's fine. But I just wanted to make sure that the instructional planning isn't lost in the measurement aspect of what's going on. So you rely on the socio-technological systems theory and pragmatist evaluation. You probably should put references in there. If this is a strict proposal, I'm pretty sure they'd want to see that so you know what's going on. Same thing for your mixed methods. What specifically are you using? I mean, I know you're collecting data. Is the quantitative data going to lead to your questions about the qualitative data, or um, it's a sequential model, but I'm just trying to, maybe you should label it, and I don't know if you use Cresswell, but there's other sort of citations you could put in there to make it a little stronger. And you have teacher surveys. I'm just wondering what access you have to teachers, but maybe you have those connections, and that's great. Um, uh, because it's ambitious to get 100 to 150 teachers. I mean, that would be fantastic. Now, you are measuring their self reported confidence and competence in key areas of data decision making. But what about the interventions, their ability to use that data and turn it into interventions? Because that's kind of critical. And it's also critical their ability to use Gen AI, for example, to personalize learning, to create from the data, create modified programs, instructions, and provide examples and anything that they can do. But that's quite a range, so I just wouldn't want to see that mix. That's what I was talking about, the implementation of it. And then you wanted to know about if there's any shifts in profession, their the pre-post, and that's fine in terms of whether they improve or not. Um, it's interesting here about student academic outcomes. I guess it makes sense, but I'm not sure that you could necessarily attribute changes to this data intervention uh, um, application model. You might be able to. I don't see the time period of whether you're doing this, so I'm just curious about that. And there could be breakdown like grades and completion rates and assessment scores. Uh, yes, they're one measure of um, success, but also student confidence, and sometimes these things take time. So I'm not sure you would see changes in grades and completion rates and assessment scores. You might. Now you talked about t-tests. Um, so yeah, you could do that, but a regression analysis, that means there'd be more than one variable predicting success, and I'm curious about that. What variables you would be using in that regression analysis. And then the other thing is, can you get permission to do this? And maybe you have contacts, so that'd be great. Um, but you certainly need permission from students and such, so that could be difficult. Just kind of throwing it out there from my experience. That's quite a few semi-structured interviews. Is this postdoc over a couple of years? I'm not sure. Uh, I'm wondering about the wisdom of using focus groups, but you might use them to see experiences. And I think it's obviously a good idea to get the qualitative data. You probably want to put this that these are going to be online. You're probably going to transcribe them if you wanted to do that. In terms of knowledge mobilization, there's a couple of additions you might want to put in. You might want to add the website and the online modules that you're using. I'm assuming you're going to create some sort of online modules. There could be training, but I would imagine online modules would make this far more transferable to the general population. Um, and so that could be a strength, that it's not just this one and done thing, that there's actually this model and this approach that can work, that's relatively straightforward to use. The other thing you might consider is creating a customized Gen AI chatbot, which actually isn't that hard to do in ChatGPT or Gemini, and which is dedicated to for teachers to, for example, if they see the data, they might ask, well, what could I do to help this student? What are 5 possibilities? And then they could work from. Sorry, the mic went off there. I'm not sure where it went off. So, what I was saying was knowledge mobilization. You need to maybe add the website and the modules that you do the training. So, I think that would be really important. And then maybe you could create a customized Gen AI chatbot, which isn't that hard to do and would help students, helps teachers, for example, perhaps analyze the data. You got to and work with the data, and also help teachers discuss interventions and that kind of thing. The last thing I noticed that was missing from here usually is equity, diversity, and inclusion. You may have to think about that. So that's some of my feedback.